Part 16. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 151. Dong Lazy calmed down a little, turned around and stuffed a pack of Yupin plums to Wu Wei. This person who asks for advice and advice is actually treated like this? Wu Wei quickly declined, Uncle Dong, who among our two families should follow the other? Dong Lazy insisted wholeheartedly, this is a big deal. After listening to your opinion, I will treat it as Mr. Wu Dai who made the decision. The etiquette cannot be discarded. The old man's name has been brought out. Wu Wei had no choice but to accept it, otherwise, he would be considered as a coward who dislikes smoking. While he was talking, the second senior brother had been disemboweled and hung on the flatbed frame. Dongda jumped left and right excitedly. He had no idea that his Yunnan mother-in-law was about to receive the money. Wu Wei looked at the progress. It would probably take him half a day before he could eat pig meat. He pushed up the 28th big bar first and went straight to the village headquarters. Village compound. Fourth Master Chiao, who came back from the kill factory, also started working together. That kind of energy is completely different from that of ordinary young and middle-aged veterans. Wu Wei dispersed the smoke and saw Zhang Xiaoyan, the sister of the Zhang family, in Xiao Chun's mouth. As for the Xiao family's sister-in-law, she is Chen Nir, the wife of Xiao Gang, the neighbor to the west of the fence yard. She is an acquaintance. Both of them are married women. With their participation, when the carpenters are flirting with Xiaoqin and Maling, there will be two who can stand up to them. As for Xiao Chun, they didn't dare to be presumptuous. She is the boss's girl after all, who dares to make a mistake? Don't want to do it anymore? Take a walk around. Wu Wei and Fourth Master Chiao were at the door, squatting down against the wall. In a puff of smoke, the Fourth Master's words also confirmed the delivery progress mentioned by Xiao Chun. At this moment, Chiao Kuliang came over with a friend who was about the same size as him. When Fourth Master Chiao saw their temperament, he instinctively felt embarrassed. Kuliang, although I am your fourth uncle, this is not a place for you to run wild. Chiao Kuliang was taking out a cigarette and was startled when he heard this. Fourth uncle, where did you think you were? I was just following orders. After saying that, he pursed his lips at Wu Wei. Wu Wei continued, yes, Fourth Master, I asked him to come. Arrange some photos of the furniture we made and make a promotional album. Fourth Master Chiao's face softened a little, and he allowed Chiao Kuliang to pull the cowboy man beside him and said, Fourth uncle, boss, this is my best brother Chen Ziping, known as Master Chen in the photography world. Upon hearing this, Fourth Master Chiao said angrily, Master shit, hurry up and get to work. Wu Wei didn't help this time. Because Chiao Kuliang's tone was really bad. After sending the two of them away, Fourth Master Chiao looked back and thought about it, and he understood. You made this first batch of furniture into a brochure so that you can sell it and take orders. Wu Wei nodded, and I plan to let Kuliang go to the county for a run, so that he will not be idle at home all day, and the master and wife will be upset. When the time comes, he will take the order. Fourth Master, you will take someone to make the order. There is no need for this matter. If you leave me, you will do the same. Unexpectedly, Fourth Master Chiao was immediately shocked. What are you talking about? You started this business. No matter when the time comes, we can't kick you away and go it alone. What kind of person would I, Chiao Lao Si, be? Wu Wei was just trying this casually, but he didn't expect Fourth Master Chiao to take it seriously. He quickly explained, Fourth Master, I'm joking. In fact, I'm thinking, let's put everything together. Once the order volume comes up, we'll take the opportunity to set up a furniture factory and run the whole thing. Upon hearing that Wu Wei had more to say, Fourth Master Chiao's expression gradually softened, but his eyes became brighter and brighter. Then when the time comes, I won't have to suffer the bird's energy with your master. Wu Wei laughed and said, Fourth master, one code is the same, but why is master so angry with you? Fourth master Chiao waved his hand and said, you don't understand. Anyway, if this furniture factory really starts up, I will come over. At that time, I will also be responsible for supervising the factory for you. Let's see who dares to sneak you away and work alone. Seeing fourth master Chiao blowing his beard and staring, Wu Wei was too lazy to be serious. Okay, anyway, when the time comes, you have to leave me an authoritative carpenter, such as Brother Gang Feng, or someone. After all, Master's engineering team cannot do without carpenters. Fourth Master Chiao was filled with longing and said, easy to say, easy to say. I squatted for a while with Fourth Master Chiao. Before Wu Wei was about to leave, Fourth Master Chiao stood up and chased him away. I have to go see this kid Kuliang, lest he is unreliable and makes the high-end furniture we make look ugly again. This sense of ownership and responsibility suddenly emerged. Wu Wei couldn't stop him, so he could only say goodbye to Fourth Master Chiao and go straight to Chiao's courtyard. As soon as I arrived at the door, I saw the master's wife Chen Yuejuan, the party secretary's wife Lu Hong, and the fourth master's wife gathering together to knit. Wu Wei was the person who had just been called around. Chen Yuejuan smelled it and said, why do you smell like blood? Hi, Wu Wei explained, today, the dongs were killing the New Year pig and asked me to help. I was responsible for holding the knife. After a while, the smell followed me. Chen Yuejuan nodded and asked, today is Saturday, is Yuyan planning to come back? These words made Wu Wei's face turn red. You kiss my daughter, and you ask me if I will come back. Lu Hong and the fourth master's wife just laughed together, and the fourth master's wife even said, why don't you two make a baby quickly? You can get engaged, get married, and have a full moon wine together. After saying that, he laughed first. Of course, this statement inevitably earned the roll of the eyes from master's wife Chen Yuejuan. Wu Wei could only scratch his head and said, I should come back, because she didn't tell me that she wouldn't come back. Chen Yuejuan then let him go and said, your master is settling accounts in the room, you go. Wu Wei left quickly as if he had been pardoned. Lu Hong and the fourth master's wife behind him were already discussing whether to ask Dong Dejia to send meat over. Entering the main room, the air was filled with smoke. If you don't know the amount of smoke, you might think it was a room full of heavy smokers. Seeing this, Wu Wei's action of wanting to disperse the smoke stopped, and he helped to disperse it, saying, Master, please smoke less. Too much is not good for your health. Master Chiao Wu shook his shoulders, intending to pull up the cotton jacket draped over his shoulders and said, how can we not smoke in our line of work? We've gotten used to it. Wu Wei understood, but he insisted, smoke less if you can, after all, your body is your own. I'll pour you a glass of water. Wait until Wu Wei brought 2 glasses of water over. Then Master Chiao Wu pushed the work record book and salary sheet in front of him and said, I have calculated it. The wages for the past 10 days are more than 2,000 yuan. Can you take another look? Wu Wei said without even looking at it, I will bring the money to you tomorrow. More than 2,000 yuan, how can it be worth looking at? Master Chiao Wu was happy in his heart, and his face was also very serious and said, I will check it again later to make sure there are no mistakes. Then he looked at the calendar on the wall and said, Yuyan is coming back today. You can have dinner here tonight and drink with me. There is another chapter, a little later. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 152. The master and apprentice drank tea for a while, and the air in the hall finally became clear. Mr. Chiao looked at the snow outside the door and sighed, after the snow melts, I'm afraid it will be the new year. Wu Wei remained silent and said nothing. Let Mr. Chiao continue to sigh. If there was such a snowfall in the past years, I would toss and turn at night and not be able to sleep. Because I haven't made any money all year round, I feel uneasy, and I have no clue about next year. Thanks to you this year, I have enough to eat and sleep well. In the words of your wife, I can't even kick a donkey to wake it up. Wu Wei couldn't help but laugh. Was it the donkey's kick or the mistress's own kick? Now the only thing left to do is you and Yuyan. When is the right time for you two to get engaged? Wu Wei still had the same attitude as before, saying, Master, I don't have any old people here. Everything depends on you and my wife. Fifth Master Chiao thought, originally, your wife and I plan to follow the old etiquette and get engaged to you two first, and then we will get married when Yuyan reaches the legal age. Then we both thought about it. Since you plan to build a new house next spring, we might as well hold the wedding directly after your new house is completed. It's not easy for you two to start a small family. One less procedure and the cost can be reduced. What do you think? Wu Wei was stunned, he had never expected it. Master, who has always been reasonable, could actually make such a huge concession on this matter. She couldn't help but ask, Master, wouldn't this be too unfair to Yuyan? As a result, Mr. Chiao Wu stared at her. What grievance is wrong? Her current job seems decent, and she only earns 63 yuan a month, which is not even your daily income. The key is, as long as you two like each other and live a good life, what can outsiders say? Wu Wei laughed and said, Master, I plan to get a gold ring for Yuyan in the next few days. Chiao Wei waved his hand and said, don't waste that money. In the future, after you two get married, there will be a lot of money to spend. What about third brother? Mr. Chiao suddenly said angrily, as long as he doesn't cause any trouble for me, everything will be fine for me. When he gets married and has a family, marrying Yuyan again will only delay Yuyan and you too. Wu Wei rarely said something for Chiao Kuliang. I think the third brother is very serious now and is dealing with high-end furniture. Mr. Chiao Wu shook his head flatly, not believing it at all. He'll be hot for 3 minutes. Just wait 2 more days and see. If it doesn't harm you, then it's good. Wu Wei deliberately mentioned Li Manman's matter. But I felt that there was indeed some confusion between Chiao Kuliang and the other party. It's not good to give hope to master and mistress in vain. Let's just wait until the two of them agree on each other before talking about it. Wu Wei sat with Master Chiao Wei for a while longer. I thought I would wait until Chiao Kuliang brought Chen Ziping over and asked when the album would be released. As a result, before the two of them came, someone from the Dong family came and asked him to go over and eat the butchered vegetables. Fifth Master Chiao immediately touched the record book and said, go quickly, I will take stock of this account again. When Wu Wei passed by the kitchen, he saw his wife, Chen Yuejuan, busy at work, so he asked, by the way, Master's wife, Mr. Dong, do you want to bring back some legs or ribs? I'm just there. Chen Yuejuan said, no need, kid. I haven't finished eating the pig front legs you gave me earlier. Wu Wei returned to the Dong family all the way, and the smell of pig meat and vegetables spread to the village road behind. These days, the native pigs raised at home are so fragrant. It makes people's appetite increase just by looking at it. Although the liquor was a little bad, it didn't matter to Wu Wei if he didn't like it. The meal of slaughtered pigs lasted until noon. Wu Wei ordered a good piece of ribs and paid the bill to Dong Lazy on the spot. He also warned, Uncle Dong, if Dongda has any difficulties marrying this wife, just come to me. After all, Dong Lazy's leg was injured following his old man's riding. Look at the Buddha's face without looking at the monk's face. This promise can be regarded as given on behalf of the old man. Dong Lazy said with emotion, you, like Mr. Wuda back then, are afraid of wronging us people. After the Dongs came out, Wu Wei carried the half of the ribs back to Master Chiao's house. He picked up the kitchen knife and chopped off more than 2 kilograms and said, "Master's wife, if Yuyan likes to eat, cook her some braised pork ribs." When Chen Yuejuan saw it, the ribs had become pork ribs. He suddenly felt distressed and said, "You kid, you don't need so much." Wu Wei said with great interest, "How about I cook some sweet braised pork ribs for you, Yan? She will definitely like it." Chen Yuejuan was a little moved at the moment. She thinks this is a way for children to express affection. As a result, Mr. Chiao Wu in the main room overheard her and immediately interrupted, "You're doting on her before we get through the door? After we get through the door, she can climb on your head and squat on your head. Besides, as the old saying goes, a gentleman stays far away from the kitchen. If you are doing important things, don't think about always hiding in the kitchen." This is typical male chauvinism. Master's wife Chen Yuejuan rolled her eyes when she heard this, but the old couple had been here for so many years, so Chen Yuejuan was not surprised at all by these words. It's just that no one talks about his daughter like that. Seeing this, Wu Wei had no choice but to tell Chen Yuejuan in a low voice, the sweet way to do it. Then he entered the main room to accompany his master, fifth Master Chiao. The master and apprentice sat together, and the topic was always about construction. Mr. Chiao Wu talked about some old memories, his experiences in the village town hall and the workers' cinema. Finally, they came back to Wu Wei's own small building plan. Speaking of this, Wu Wei said with great interest, "If I had known, I would have brought the drawings to you for your review. I plan to build a 2-story small building." After listening for a while, Master Chiao frowned and said, "I can understand the wires going into the wall. But what is the rule for the toilet to be in the house? How can it not smell? Besides, there is no drainage system in our countryside, where are you going to drain it?" Wu Wei patiently explained, "So we need to build a septic tank outside the yard, and flush it in time after use in the building, so there will be no smell." Master Chiao continued, "There is no running water in the countryside, how do you flush it?" "Flush it with a bucket. Brickwork a small water tower, filled with well water every day, connected to the waterway in the small building, naturally there will be running water." Master Chiao Wu couldn't help but chattered and said, "Is it necessary to go through so much trouble?" Wu Wei said seriously, "Master, Yuyan can live the life of a city dweller. Now she is married to me and has to continue living in the countryside. In terms of living experience, I must let her experience the level of city dwellers." Master Chiao Wu smacked his lips and said, "Just spoil her. One day, you can't control her, and then I can't help you." After saying this, Master Chiao Wu didn't forget to promote his own set of male chauvinism. A man should act like a man. There are some things that you can't do casually, even if you can do them. Once you open this door, it will cause endless troubles. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 153. Listening to Master Chiao Wu's chatter. Wu Wei actually felt a bit like once a teacher, always a father. At least what the master said was from his own perspective. It seemed that he was afraid that after he got married and started a family, he would spoil his wife too much and lose his power as a husband. The sky gradually darkened. In the weather after the snow, there was no sun, and it often got dark earlier than usual. Smoke was curling in the kitchen, and Master's wife Chen Yuejuan was busy inside and outside. Not long after, Chiao Kuliang came back in a swagger. It seemed that he had done something extraordinary. Master Chiao Wu, however, had no eyes to look at the sun. Chiao Kuliang didn't care, and followed the smell of braised spare ribs into the kitchen. He lifted the lid of the pot and took a look. The colored spare ribs made people salivate and drool. Fortunately, before his saliva was about to flow, Chen Yuejuan slapped him back. "This is the dish Xiao Wu ordered for your sister, what are you greedy for?" Xiao Kuliang looked aggrieved. "Mom, can't I try a piece? Am I still your good son? Want to be your good son again? Sure, find a daughter-in-law for me as soon as possible." Xiao Kuliang's heart moved, but he didn't dare to speak rashly. He silently covered the pot and left the kitchen. As a result, as soon as he returned to the yard, he saw Xiao Moli standing outside the yard, waving at him quietly from an angle that could not be seen in the main hall. With that mysterious look, it would be a pity if he didn't join the underground party. Xiao Kuliang walked out of the door in a swagger. Xiao Moli pulled him aside and asked, "I heard that you are helping him. How can you do this?" Xiao Kuliang, who had experienced the Shanghai trip, heard this and felt that Xiao Moli was even more childish than him. So much so that he said something unpleasant. "Moli, you can't deliberately target him just because he didn't like you in the blind date. I have to admit that he is really much better than the two of us in terms of making money. Not only better than the two of us, but also better than my father, your father, and his generation. Otherwise, do you think your father is so easily fooled and praise him so much?" Xiao Moli bit her lower lip tightly, raised her foot and gave Xiao Kuliang a kick and said, "Traitor." Then she walked away angrily. Xiao Kuliang couldn't help but sigh. No wonder Wu Wei didn't like her. He was really immature. When it was almost dark, the village on a snowy night had lights on in 2s and 3s. Xiao Yuyan returned home and pushed the cart into the yard. When she saw Wu Wei coming out of the main hall to greet her, she couldn't help cheering in her heart. Chen Yuejuan came out of the kitchen, holding the braised pork ribs that had just been served from the pot and said, "Why are you so late today?" Xiao Yuyan glanced at Wu Wei. "It was so late, of course, because I went back to the courtyard of Bei Road with Zishun first. But he said, something happened at school, so I was delayed." Chen Yuejuan raised the plate and said, "Xiao Wu has been waiting for you for a day, and he specially asked me to make you braised pork ribs, saying that it is sweet and has a southern flavor." Xiao Yuyan's beautiful eyes were full of light. "It must be delicious." Wu Wei smiled and said, "Then you should eat more later." Not long after, dinner was served. Xiao Wei took out Mao Tai openly and drank 2 cups with Wu Wei. Chen Yuejuan glanced at him, but did not stop him. But just after Xiao Wei poured himself a full cup, his youngest daughter Xiao Yuyan snatched it away and poured it for Wu Wei. The pride that Xiao Wei had just felt in his heart disappeared immediately. "This girl. Why didn't you grab it before Dad poured the wine himself?" Xiao Wei sighed secretly. Many things can't be thought too much. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. When Xiao Yuyan finished pouring him the wine, Wu Wei took the bottle and motioned to Xiao Kuliang, saying, "Want some?" Xiao Kuliang felt the long-lost respect and was just a little touched. He was met with his father's murderous eyes and immediately waved his hands. "I won't drink it. I don't like that stuff. I'll just eat 2 pieces of ribs." As he said that, he stretched out his chopsticks to pick up the ribs. After all, he had been craving for it for a long time. But he was interrupted by Xiao Yuyan. "These braised ribs are all mine. Have you asked me?" Xiao Kuliang had to look at Wu Wei for help. Can you imagine? He was eating at his own table, but he had to ask for help from a guest like Wu Wei. Fortunately, before Wu Wei could get embarrassed, Xiao Yuyan picked a small piece of ribs and put it in Xiao Kuliang's bowl, saying, "Here, a reward for you." "So small. Do you want it?" "No." Xiao Yuyan hadn't finished her words when Xiao Kuliang sucked the ribs in. Although the ribs were small, they had a lot of meat. With the rich taste and the progressive layers, this southern sweet taste is really unique. When Xiao Kuliang finished tasting a small piece of ribs, Xiao Yuyan had already eaten 2 or 3 pieces, and the speed of swallowing simply shocked Jiao Kuliang. On the other side, the master and apprentice toasted each other. After Jiao Wei felt satisfied, he talked about the engagement of Wu Wei and Jiao Yuyan. After listening, Jiao Yuyan just looked at Wu Wei and said, "I will listen to you, and I will do whatever you say." Jiao Kuliang looked sick. When this couple spread dog food, it was even sweeter than the sweet braised ribs. I couldn't help but yearn for Li Manman. If I had known earlier, I would not have offended Jiao Moli. After all, if I wanted to secretly call Li Manman, I was afraid I couldn't get around her. After the meal, Jiao Yuyan hummed a song while cleaning up the mess. She also kept an eye on Wu Wei from time to time, fearing that he would leave early. Chen Yuejuan saw this, stood up and took over the job of washing the pots and dishes, saying, "Okay, you look absent-minded, go and accompany Xiao Wu." Jiao Yuyan still said stubbornly, "It's okay, Mom, I'll do it." Chen Yuejuan had rolled up her sleeves, "Go, go. When your fourth uncle comes back, he will leave." Jiao Siyi's return means that the village office has finished work. Wu Wei is likely to go back with his third sister Xiao Chun. Jiao Yuyan said sweetly, "Thank you, Mom, I will help you wash the dishes for a day tomorrow." "You are still thanking Mom, you silly girl." Wu Wei was standing at the door talking with his master when he was suddenly pulled up by Jiao Yuyan. Looking back, he saw that his master's wife was busy at the well, and he was surprised. Jiao Yuyan raised her neck and said, "Can I go shopping with you?" Wu Wei was about to say hello to the master next to him, but he saw that the master had left without knowing when. So he happily said, "Let's go. It's frozen at night, and the road will be easy to walk on." The two left the Jiao family compound and walked on the small road in the village. The snow under their feet was stepped on, making a hoarse muffled sound. But Wu Wei felt that Jiao Yuyan was holding his arm and hugging him more tightly. He couldn't help but said, "Have you worn all the gifts I gave you?" Jiao Yuyan blushed, but still bravely agreed, "Yes." "Is the size right?" "Not too big or too small, just right." Jiao Yuyan blushed and said, "The style is also very novel." Jia said, "It's fashionable." Wu Wei pretended to be angry and said, "She actually saw it before me." Another 2 chapters will be released later. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 154. The next day was Sunday, the 5th day of the 12th lunar month. The power of the cold after the snow was fully revealed, and Wu Wei got up early in the morning to run a water pump. He was so cold that he shivered all over, and turned back to the quilt to cover himself. But the high-end furniture of Section Chief Tang and Section Chief Song was at a critical juncture. Xiao Chun couldn't rest, so she had to get up and work as usual. Wu Wei felt sorry for his third sister, and after being so shocked, he lost his sleepiness, so he simply waited for his body to warm up, then got dressed and got up. After washing up, Xiao Chun cooked a pot of vegetable porridge on the 3-burner coal stove in the main room. In addition, there were a few frozen hard-steamed buns. When Wu Wei saw this breakfast, he immediately went out to Bai Road and bought 2 trays of hot buns. By the way, he took a newspaper from Lao Wei. Lao Wei's newsstand had a wooden wall with a window opening outward. At first glance, it was made of old window frames and wood removed from other people's homes. More or less, it played a certain sealing role. Old Wei sat inside wrapped in a military coat, and his face finally had some color. Wu Wei took a look. "Is there air leaking from the wood gap?" Old Wei smiled and said, "It's much better than nothing." While handing over money and taking newspapers, Wu Wei said, "I'll teach you a method that is both simple and economical." "Oh, please teach me, Boss Wu." "Tear some plastic sheeting and paste it with some wooden strips, and it will naturally stop leaking." Old Wei smiled, "You are worthy of being a boss, you still have a way." Back to the small courtyard on Bai Road, Wu Wei sent some hot buns to the old lady next door. Turning around, he saw the youngest sister Zishun got up after smelling the smell. This girl is a greedy cat. She is not low demanding when eating by herself. Ask her to do something, and she is a mess. Well, maybe this girl will be a great talent in the future. Her talent points are not in daily life and grains. In contrast, Xiaochun just tasted it and was reluctant to eat more. After eating 2 bowls of vegetable porridge, she hurried back to the village office to work. After breakfast, Zishun went back to her room to review. Wu Wei sat in the main room, letting De Huang lie at his feet, and began to think about making a 3 gold belt for Qiao Yuyan. Although the marriage was not decided, the master saved money for himself. But Wu Wei felt that the proper etiquette should not be abandoned. While he was thinking, he saw someone coming to the door through the glass door covered with ice flowers. De Huang also moved at the sound and ran to the door, but did not bark. When Wu Wei opened the door, it was none other than Qiao Yuyan, who was wrapped tightly. Wu Wei held the door open. It's so cold this early in the morning, come in and warm up. Qiao Yuyan parked the car and was curious about how warm it was in this room. After entering the room, she immediately felt the warm breeze on her face, as if she had come out of an ice cellar. Zishun came out of the west wing, greeted her obediently, and poured a cup of hot water for Qiao Yuyan. She then went into the room to continue studying, and closed the door. Qiao Yuyan recovered and took off her tightly wrapped scarf and ski jacket, revealing her beautiful figure. Wu Wei was so excited that he pulled her over and sat her on his lap. At first, Qiao Yuyan was a little shy, fearing that Zishun from the west wing would suddenly come out and see her. But when Wu Wei reached his hand under the hem of her sweater, she became weak and powerless, and even lost the strength to get up. Even though he was doing something bad, Wu Wei kept asking, "Why did you come so early?" Qiao Yuyan encouraged him, suppressing the trembling in her voice, and said, "Third brother was going to the city early in the morning, so I came with him." Wu Wei raised his eyebrows. "Third brother is very motivated." Qiao Yuyan looked at him with watery eyes and said, "That's right, he said that he should pay more attention to what you asked him to do. Dad even made an exception and gave him some money." Sure enough, the routine of his own son is hard to guard against. It seems that the master is afraid that Guo Liang has fallen into his trap again. Of course, Wu Wei did not point it out, and changed the subject. "It just so happens that I have something to do with you today." "What is it?" "You didn't tell me last night. I'll give you a set of 3 golds to take with you, and tie you down as my wife first." Qiao Yuyan couldn't help but exclaimed, "Jia Jia and Section Chief Hao are already talking about marriage, but they haven't received the 3 golds yet." Wu Wei said with a strange look on his face, "Is Teacher Ma so eager to marry him?" Qiao Yuyan was indeed diverted and said, "She is 1 year older than me, and her family is urging her to get married." The two of them talked in a sticky way. Seeing that the time was almost up, they got up and dressed to go out. As a result, Qiao Yuyan was a little unsteady, and after a long while, she gave Wu Wei a glare of reproach. Wrapping her scarf around Wu Wei's neck, she rode a bike with him and headed straight to the People's Shopping Mall. On the first floor of the People's Shopping Mall, there are 2 large gold counters. As soon as Qiao Yuyan entered the door, she was attracted by the dazzling array of gold on the counter. As expected, women are naturally not attracted to these glittering things. However, Wu Wei, who was following behind, found that Section Chief Hao was also watching from the side under the coercion of Ma Jiajia. So the next moment, Ma Jiajia looked back and said, "Hey, Yuyan, you are here too." Qiao Yuyan withdrew her gaze from the counter and said, "He insisted on getting a 3 gold belt for him. I couldn't resist him, so I came to take a look." Ma Jiajia couldn't help but feel jealous. As expected, people will die if they compare themselves with others, and goods will be thrown away if they are compared with others. She struggled with Section Chief Hao for a long time and finally managed to drag him over. When they arrived at Yuyan's place, Wu Wei took the initiative to bring her to buy it. What's more important is that these two people haven't reached the stage of talking about marriage yet. After eating, Ma Jiajia quickly covered up and asked Xiao Yuyan, "The price of gold is very expensive now, 40 yuan a gram. We can't even buy a few grams with a month's salary. How much is your boss Wu going to buy you?" Xiao Yuyan didn't answer but asked, "How much are you going to buy?" Ma Jiajia sighed and said, "I don't think about the 3 golds. I just want to give each of us a gold ring. The 2 gold rings added up will probably cost 5 to 10 grams. This is indeed a matter of abundance and thrift." When Wu Wei heard this, he stopped talking. In his opinion, since the price of gold is so cheap, it is natural to buy more and make an appointment. Reflecting your intentions is one thing. The key is that it maintains or even appreciates in value over the long term. After Ma Jiajia finished speaking, she took Section Chief Hao to discuss with the teller. When Xiao Yuyan had time, she pulled Wu Wei and whispered, "How about we get a gold ring too, instead of 3 gold rings?" Wu Wei glanced at Ma Jiajia, and he understood Yuyan's worries. But he still insisted, "That won't work. Just like a gold ring, it can't tie you down. You must add gold necklaces and gold bracelets. But gold earrings. If you look old-fashioned, we won't fight you." When I heard about it, instead of gold earrings, I made gold bracelets. Xiao Yuyan's beautiful eyes continued as if she could speak, "Are you serious? Who would marry into the family after being reborn?" Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 155. After all, a pair of gold earrings weighs only 3 to 5 grams. But a gold bracelet, is at least on the same level as a gold necklace, weighing at least 10 to 15 grams. Wu Wei didn't say much and pulled Xiao Yuyan to another counter. After choosing the style she liked, all 3 gold items were filled up, and the total weight reached 40 grams. While Xiao Yuyan was stunned, Wu Wei paid the bill directly. Not long after, when the 2 and 3 golds were obtained, Ma Jiajia and Chief Hao were still busy there. Xiao Yuyan had no intention of irritating her best friend Ma Jiajia, so she planned to grab Wu Wei and sneak away quietly. As expected, Section Chief Hao discovered and stopped him. When Section Chief Hao saw the 2 of them acting like this, he felt certain that they had not bought anything, so he planned to sneak away secretly. No matter how much Ma Jiajia pulled his sleeves, it was of no avail. Even so, Xiao Yuyan didn't intend to show off the 3 pieces of gold that Wu Wei bought her to stimulate the other party. As a result, Chief Hao became more and more aggressive. Until the teller behind him stretched out his hand and shouted to Wu Wei, "You are missing a receipt." Wu Wei turned around to retrieve it and stuffed it directly into Xiao Yuyan's small bag. In just this moment, Section Chief Hao had already caught a glimpse of the numbers on the document. 4 digits, more than 1,000. Chief Hao immediately became speechless, left Ma Jiajia behind, turned around, and left. Xiao Yuyan looked worried. Wu Wei looked indifferent. When they returned to the Bai Road courtyard, Wu Wei encouraged Xiao Yuyan to take her up on the spot. Xiao Yuyan looked in the mirror and suddenly became extremely happy. After all, who can refuse this golden treasure? But after being beautiful, Xiao Yuyan still couldn't bear to take such a precious thing with her. Wu Wei considered her personal safety and did not force her. After all, she is so beautiful, has a watch, and so much gold, the robbery value is fully increased. Keeping all this carefully, Xiao Yuyan immediately said that she would pay for today's lunch. It's a pity that Wu Wei didn't give her this chance. At lunch, he took Xiao Yuyan and Zishun directly to a noodle restaurant on Bai Road to eat beef noodles. Simple and affordable. In the afternoon, Zishun continued to read and study. Wu Wei and Xiao Yuyan moved chairs and stools and lay huddled at the door of the main room. The sunshine outside shone through the glass door with melted ice and fell on the two people's bodies and faces, making them look particularly warm. However, the ice and snow outside have not melted much. The snow on the roof had just begun to melt, and the snow water dripping down did not even wet the palm-sized courtyard. In a blink of an eye, it's Lava Festival. The snow seems to have just melted half, but the progress is obviously much faster, and the temperature has also picked up. Wu Wei had time to go to Zishan Brick Kill Factory. After opening the meadow and looking at it, the foundation problem is not big. Then he clapped his hands and returned to Chiao's courtyard. As soon as Wu Wei arrived, the master's wife Chen Yuejuan rushed out of the house to welcome him and said, "Son, you are spending too much money. You bought so many gold items for Yu Yan. How can she finish them?" Wu Wei smiled and said, "Master's wife, as long as Yu Yan likes this thing, it's worth it. Besides, it will retain its value very well." What else could Chen Yuejuan say? It's rare to come here today. I've cooked lava porridge and cooked a few more dishes. You two, master and apprentice, can drink some. Wu Wei was not polite and agreed. He saw Xiao Kuliang coming out of the main room, waving to him and saying, "Come quickly, I've finished this album, I'll give it to you." Wu Wei walked a few steps quickly and saw Xiao Kuliang holding a beautifully made album and saying with a treasured look on his face, "How is it, how is it?" The entire picture album gives Wu Wei the feeling of being a color-printed furniture picture from this era. Without answering, he asked, "Have you shown it to fourth master?" Xiao Kuliang's head shook like a rattle. "Fourth uncle is always very picky, I'm afraid I'll get pissed off." Wu Wei saw his master getting up and coming over. He took out a cigarette and said, "I think the printing can be improved a little bit. At least the lighting you used when taking pictures should be shown, right?" Xiao Kuliang didn't understand. Wu Wei then reminded, "Think about the color, light, and feeling that the dazzling array of goods on the counter gave you when we visited the first department store." By saying this, Xiao Kuliang could see and touch it. After thinking about it carefully, he couldn't help but nod his head and said, "That's true. I was dazzled by it at the time, and I just felt like I wanted to buy everything. It turns out there is something in this aspect." Wu Wei further encouraged, "At any rate, you can be considered a literary youth in the 1980s, and you have some literary and artistic atmosphere. The furniture albums you and your buddies print must not be compared to the renderings in the furniture production manuals used by carpenters. Same." Hearing this, Xiao Kuliang felt a little confused on his face. Yet it is true. If these picture albums were taken alone and used as the title page of the renderings of a furniture production manual, there would be nothing wrong with them. You are right. I will ask Chen Ziping to do it again. This time I will keep an eye on him. Wu Wei then urged, "It's best to hurry up, it's almost the new year." After being urged by Wu Wei, Xiao Kuliang didn't even bother to eat at home, so he pushed the car and went out. The master and apprentice lit up their cigarettes. Fifth Master Xiao exhaled a puff of smoke and said, "If you think he can do something, use him more." Wu Wei nodded and said, "Master, in fact, third brother can achieve things, but he just didn't go the right way." While talking, the two entered the main room. Wu Wei continued, "I just came from the kill, and everything is normal there. I just thought that while the weather is nice these days, I might as well clear the pond and dispose of the fish." Fifth Master Chiao said happily, "Okay, I happen to be too busy at home to get rusty, so let's do it tomorrow." The master and apprentice had just smoked 2 cigarettes. Seeing fourth Master Chiao coming hurriedly from the door, Wu Wei stood up to greet him, with the huazi in his hand ready. Fourth Master Chiao parked his car and walked over quickly to pick him up and said, "I heard from Kuliang that you are here. I just have something to discuss with you." Wu Wei followed fourth Master Chiao into the room and sat down. "I heard fourth Master Chiao continue, the furniture for the 2-section chiefs' homes is almost ready. It will be delivered the day after tomorrow at the latest. Looking at the delivery, should you contact the Liberation Army to deliver it, or do you use a flatbed truck to deliver it like we do in rural areas? These words reminded Wu Wei. Use a flatbed truck to deliver it, but be sure to find reliable hands and be sure not to damage the furniture. Fourth Master Chiao said, "Don't worry, they used to be experts in delivering weddings and pulling carts. Are you having trouble contacting the Great Liberation?" Wu Wei smiled, "It's not difficult, Fourth Master, I did it on purpose." Fourth Master Chiao was stunned. "You kid, what are your plans?" This time, before Wu Wei could say anything, Master Chiao said in a calm voice, "Think about it, why do we use so many flatbed trucks to deliver weddings in rural areas?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 156. The fifth master focused on this, and the fourth master understood it immediately. In rural areas, 1 or 20 flatbed trucks are used to deliver weddings, and I wish I could use a single flatbed truck to deliver every stool. In a grand manner, naturally it is for the sake of appearance. Accordingly, these high-end furniture fills the space at the same time. The East family passed it on, the West family asked, and the effect of widespread publicity will naturally come out. Fourth Master Chiao came to his senses and said, "You have a lot of clever ideas." Wu Wei asked, "By the way, Fourth Master, have you used all the furniture decals I brought back last time?" "Not yet," Fourth Master Chiao puffed his smoke and said, "Don't worry, I'll ask them to post it tomorrow." After saying this, Fourth Master Chiao asked, "I heard that you bought Yuan 3 gold worth thousands of dollars." Upon hearing this, Mr. Chiao immediately looked proud and smoked until he clicked his tongue. Wu Wei didn't take it seriously and said, "I didn't buy too many gold rings, gold necklaces and gold bracelets." Fourth Master Chiao said heehily, "You haven't bought too much. I heard that my third sister-in-law is so angry that her intestines are green. Anyway, Jasmine has been away from home for the past few days and has been having a hard time. She wanted to run away from home, but she couldn't." Wu Wei suddenly realized, no wonder, when he saw Chiao Moli before, her look in her eyes could kill someone. "We had lunch at Master's house. Fourth Master is also there." The 3 masters and apprentices cut a bottle of Maotai together and drank it happily. So after having had enough wine and food, Mr. Chiao lay down in the sun in front of the door and squinted while basking in the sun. Wu Wei accompanied Fourth Master to the village headquarters. Nearly 2 complete sets of furniture were placed in the yard, and there were even felt pads under the table corners. I was afraid that it would get soaked by the melted snow in the past few days, or be stained with mud. Wu Wei turned around and passed each one by one. There are no major flaws, but there are still many details that need polishing. With the fourth master supporting him and the third sister cooperating, Wu Wei said whatever he saw. Some questions were raised. It needs to be polished, and it needs to be reworked and reworked. Fortunately, there is only one place that needs to be reworked, and the rest is just a little polishing. It will not delay delivery the day after tomorrow. When fourth master Chiao saw this, he even wanted to take action himself. But when Wu Wei saw that he was drinking, he was stunned and didn't let him reach out, lest something happen. The next day, on the 9th day of the 12th lunar month, the temperature rose again. Although it is still below zero, it is already much warmer than the -10 degrees in previous days. Wu Wei had just arrived at Zishan Brick Kiln Factory. I saw Master Chiao Wei and his men pulling several flatbed trucks over. Pulled on the flatbed truck were several water pumps, large wooden barrels, and some fishing gear. Behind him, Pan Chazy had already gone into the house, unplugged the electricity, and carried it all the way to Wangtangkao. Qin Ziru and her son Zhou Qing, whose face became increasingly chapped, came over curiously to watch the fun. Compared with her son's chapped face, Qin Ziru's face is exceptionally well maintained and supple. It can be considered a hardship for the child Zhou Qing. Wu Wei saw this and said nothing. Soon, Master Chiao led everyone to spread out the battle, plugged in the water pump, and started roaring at the top of his lungs. Wu Wei spread cigarettes for Master and everyone else. Everyone had nothing to do, so they began to wonder how many kilograms of fish could be produced from these acres of pond. Some people say, 7 or 8,000 caddies. Some people say, 5 or 6,000 caddies. But Wu Wei knew very well that no one took care of these acres of ponds on weekdays. Occasionally put in some fodder, it all depends on Fatty Joe's mood. Especially after Fatty Joe left, Qin Ziru was reluctant to continue investing money in it. She relied on Pancheza to cut some grass every now and then and throw it away. Otherwise, Pankayazai would not be able to catch the fish by hanging a fishing line from a bamboo pole. The fish is really hungry. Wu Wei estimated that it could weigh 2 to 3,000 kilograms, which would be as high as the sky. That's the case, wait until more than half of the water is pumped out. Secretary Chiao came with another group of people. Wu Wei hurriedly stepped forward to greet him, dispersed a circle of smoke, and heard Party Secretary Chiao explain, "I heard that you were out of Wangtangzi today." I shouted through the loudspeaker and all the people at home who wanted to buy fish were screamed at. Coming. Wu Wei took a quick look and saw that there were so many people there. He couldn't help but laugh and said, "Old Party Secretary, there may not be so many fish in these unattended ponds." Secretary Chiao didn't take it seriously, "Everyone is here, let's do it according to their abilities." As soon as I saw the old branch secretaries, they all came. Qin Ziru, the mother-in-law, hurriedly went home to move chairs and stools, served tea and poured water, and was busy. Another hour passed. The water in the first 2 ponds finally bottomed out. Everyone couldn't sit still, and they all gathered at the edge of the pond, shouting and screaming as they watched the fish that was nowhere to be seen. As Wu Wei expected, there were not many fish. But the advantage is that they are big and not small. Big fish weighing more than 10 kilograms can be seen everywhere. After all, it would be difficult to survive under such conditions without any advantages. Ma Jinbao and his brothers put on the jumpsuits they brought and prepared to go to Wangtangzi. Some of the group of people who followed Secretary Chiao on the shore had already begun to order from a distance. When Wu Wei saw this, he pulled over Master Chiao and said, "Master, can you help me keep the account?" Secretary Chiao couldn't help but regretted, "I knew I would have called Accountant Li over for you. After all, he is more professional." Fifth Master Chiao disagreed, "Professional or not, how difficult can this be?" After saying that, he turned around and asked Qin Ziru for a table and set up his position. He took out the small notebook he carried with him, sat down on the spot and said, "Send all the fish you caught to me. Come on, bring the scale. Those who want to buy fish, line up here." So those who caught fish, those who weighed fish, and those who bought fish. Everyone quickly found their respective positions, and the scene was carried out in an orderly manner. In this way, after a day, the several ponds were finally completely emptied. Finally, when Chiao Wei counted the accounts, a total of more than 1,800 kilograms of fish and more than 100 kilograms of other groceries. Loach, river clams, yellow eels and the like. In total, less than 2,000 kilograms. Even so, Qin Ziru was still jealous. According to the current market price of 80 cents per kilogram for various fish, Wu Wei also earned about 1,000 yuan in this day. Unfortunately, she was in a hurry to sell the brick kiln factory and even forgot to include the output of these ponds. But then again, Shinzairu had to admit that no one would take over the brick kiln factory even at 800 yuan. If the output of Wangtangzi was really taken into account, I'm afraid no one would be interested. In the final analysis, people still despise this brick kiln factory because someone died there, which is unlucky. Even though there is a bargain, they are not willing to take it. Shinzairu sighed, it's all fate. At this time, Wu Wei came over with a bucket. Shinzairu quickly calmed down, Boss Wu, what are you doing? Wu Wei put the bucket in front of her, thank you for giving me these Wangtangzi. These are just some miscellaneous goods and are not worth much. Shinzairu's face twitched, and she forced a smile and said, it should be, it should be. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 157. In fact, Wu Wei didn't see much cash. They were all from the same village, and most of them paid the bill to Master Chiao Wei and took the fish away. But for Wu Wei now, they would not easily refuse to pay. If it were an ordinary family, they would have to go door to door to ask for the money from selling fish until New Year's Eve. In the end, what Wu Wei left was a bucket of yellow eels and the remaining 200 to 300 kilograms of live fish. The remaining live fish was divided among the people who helped, and Wu Wei only brought back 100 kilograms of live fish to the county yard. Even so, when it was poured into the big basin in the yard, it was still a sea of fish, not old or small. Zishun came back at dinner time and was particularly excited to see all this. Even if she couldn't make it for dinner, at least she could come back for a midnight snack after finishing her evening self-study. Of course, her second brother Wu Wei didn't let her down. Not only did they stew a pot of fragrant fish tofu, but they also cooked fried eel slices with green onions. Zishun's mouth was full of oil after eating it. From childhood to adulthood, has the family ever been so wealthy? The next morning, Wu Wei had just gotten up when he heard his third sister Xiaochun say, the fourth child was smiling all the time when he was sleeping last night. You must have fed him, so he had a good dream at night. Zishun blushed, but did not refute. After breakfast, as soon as Zishun left, Wu Wei and Xiaochun split up. Xiaochun returned to the village office and arranged the delivery. Wu Wei went straight to the meat processing plant and notified Section Chief Song and Section Chief Tang's homes one by one. When Section Chief Song's wife Zhang heard this, she was so excited that she didn't even cook. After leaving the temporary residence of the unit, she told everyone that she would see new furniture today. Wu Wei went to Section Chief Tang's house again. Section Chief Tang's wife was just as happy. But besides being happy, the first thing she thought of was to find Section Chief Tang's office. Wu Wei notified the household, so she didn't follow them anymore, and prepared to go back to the small Western-style building to wait. As a result, before leaving the meat processing factory, she ran into the factory flower Wang Jing. After not seeing each other for a while, Wang Jing's figure became more round and slightly flat. When she saw Wu Wei, Wang Jing subconsciously thought that he was looking for her. As soon as she opened her mouth, she said, it's hard to collect treasury bonds recently. There are fewer people who are in a hurry to use money. In addition, it's the new year again. Everyone wants to hold the bonds and wait and see. Even if they are willing to sell them, they have to sell them at a 60% or 70% discount. Wu Wei nodded. This was expected. After all, the treasury bonds were just bought with real money, and they were sold at a loss in the blink of an eye. Unless it is absolutely necessary, most people can't make such a big decision. And according to the market rules, a 50% discount usually only appears after half a year. But then again, even a 60% or 70% discount is not impossible. But this will somewhat disrupt the market. Maybe the purchase price in half a year will also be affected. So Wu Wei simply said in a calm tone, let's wait and see. Anyway, there is no rush. We can buy as many as we can. It seems that he thought Wu Wei was disappointed in him. At the end, Wang Jing did not forget to say, "Yu Lily's side is not much better." Wu Wei raised his hand and said, "I know, I have other things to do, so I won't say more to you." After that, Wu Wei walked away. Looking at Wu Wei's back as he left, Wang Jing suddenly felt lost. When he arrived at the family area of the meat processing plant, Wu Wei had just smoked a cigarette when he saw the wives of two section chiefs hurried over. Along the way, the family members of the meat processing plant who followed them were really young and old. So even if the furniture has not been delivered yet, these old ladies will not be bored when they get together. After more than half an hour, the first flatbed truck finally appeared at the entrance of the alley. It was a set of cabinets. The plywood surface was already high-end. With the sun shining, it was smooth and bright. In addition, the corner of the cabinet door was pasted with beautiful Shanghai brand lace, which made it look high-end. When Zhang Yan saw it, she immediately rushed forward and asked, "Is this our Song family?" The driver didn't know what was going on. Then, Chiao Siyi appeared on a 28 bar, but he knew everything. He took the opportunity to get off the car and said, "The 10 flatbed trucks in front are all from Section Chief Song's family. The 10 behind are from Section Chief Tang's family. Everyone, keep your eyes open, don't send me the wrong one." Wu Wei stepped forward, handed Siyi a cigarette and said, "Thank you for your hard work, Siyi." Chiao Siyi waved his hand and made way. The flatbed trucks were allowed to come in one after another, in a mighty and continuous procession. The neighbors in the family area, as well as the family members of the employees who followed from the factory, were already stunned by the scene. The shiny and unique furniture tied to the flatbed trucks was even more eye-catching. "Oh my God, this is what the dreamy Simmons mattress is like. Yes, it looks really high-end. How comfortable it would be to sleep on it at night. My son is getting married next year, and I want to order one for him. You know what, I want to order one for myself." The old ladies laughed, and then someone mentioned it. "This fashionable combination cabinet is not bad. Once it is placed in the house, it is not only spacious but also luxurious. The key is that it can hold a lot of things. And this combination sofa is not bad." The women surrounded more than 20 flatbed trucks, from the front to the back of the team. Each piece of furniture can be looked at with great interest for a long time. The masters took a break. Wu Wei was just about to find the two section chiefs' wives to discuss where to unload the goods. Zhang Yan came out with 2 packs of cigarettes and greeted the hard-working masters. It must be said that Section Chief Song's family is good at dealing with people. In contrast, Section Chief Tang's wife had to wait for old Tang to speak before she remembered this. Wu Wei did not stop her and let Zhang Yan finish greeting the masters. Then she took the opportunity to ask, "Sister Zhang, where should each of these furniture be placed? Have you discussed with Section Chief Song? While our masters are here, we will put them in place for you. You don't have to go back and adjust them later, which is troublesome." Zhang Yan was beaming with joy and said, "No need to discuss it with him, I have thought about it. Just follow my instructions." Wu Wei agreed straightforwardly, "Okay. All up to you." Half an hour later, under Zhang Yan's guidance, all the furniture was put in place. The originally empty little Western-style building immediately had a soul. Zhang Yan was more and more satisfied the more she looked at it. The praise and approval of the old sisters around her made her even more happy. She pulled Wu Wei to pay the cash on the spot. Not only that, she also took advantage of the old sister's words to advertise Wu Wei, "I have tasted this for you, what are you still hesitating about? If you want to make good furniture, find Master Wu." Instigated by Zhang Yan, all the old ladies turned around and rushed to Wu Wei. Wu Wei quickly protected the huge amount of money on his body and answered them one by one. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 158. Half an hour later, Wu Wei came out of the Song family's small foreign-style building. I saw that the Tang family had just finished their work under the command of 4th Master Chiao. When he met the 4th Master, Wu Wei took 5 orders and the 4th Master also took 3 orders. Sure enough, the power of this example is infinite. Customer reputation is living advertising. I have seen these Siemens and modular cabinets in the village department many times on weekdays. Once the novelty wears off, I don't think they are so outstanding anymore. Instead, he went to the section chief's small foreign-style building and arranged it according to local conditions. The effect, with just one brush, is eye-catching. Even 4th Master Chiao was smoking a cigarette and thinking, should you let Kuliang take his bad friends to the homes of these 2 section chiefs to take pictures? The results should be better than those in our village department. Good. Even 4th Master Chiao has thought of this, how could Wu Wei not? I nodded immediately and told Kuliang when I got back. At this time, Section Chief Tang, who had just returned from the factory, returned in a hurry. I couldn't wait to enter the house to take a look, but I saw Wu Wei and his father squatting on the roadside. He couldn't help but stop and let out a cigarette. Fortunately, after Wu Wei took his cigarette, he said very understandingly, "Chief Tang, please go back and take a look first. If there is anything inappropriate to visit, we can adjust it while our masters are here. Otherwise, once we leave, if you try to move somewhere else, it will be troublesome even if you go to great lengths." Section Chief Tang nodded, "Then I'll go first and you guys can talk." As soon as Section Chief Tang left, Old Man Zheng's wife, and son, came over. He gave Wu Wei a thumbs up and said, "Master Wu, this furniture is so beautifully painted. It just looks like it was taken out of a painting. If I had known that my son was getting married, I would have asked you to paint some dreamy Siemens." Wu Wei smiled and said, "Auntie, it's not too late for you to fight now." This was originally said casually. In the end, Aunt's son really took it to heart. "Xiao Wu, tell me, there has been no movement in my daughter-in-law's stomach since she came here. Could it be related to the bad bed?" Wu Wei couldn't help but laugh in surprise, even though he wanted to sell furniture. "You can't talk nonsense and fool Aunt's son. What's more, Old Man Zheng's family also helped him a lot. At the moment, I could only tell the truth. Mom, I can't lie to you about this. Whether or not you can have children has something to do with them. It has nothing to do with whether the bed is good or not. Of course, having a good bed and a comfortable bed is really good for their mood and improves their sleep quality." Even after just saying this, 4th Master Chiao felt that it was a bit much. I was afraid that Aunt's son would put all her hopes of having a grandson on a bed. Fortunately, the other party was not impulsive enough to make a decision on the spot. He only said, "When Huaimin comes back, ask him to take his wife to Chief Song's house to see your bed. Wait until Aunt's son leaves." 4th Master Chiao finally couldn't hold it in any longer and said, "You have such a mouth. You can live or die at your own discretion." Wu Wei said without changing his expression, "I'm right, 4th Master, a comfortable bed can indeed help you feel happy and improve your sleep quality." Then the conversation changed, but to be honest, if Mr. Zheng really ordered our dream Siemens for his son and daughter-in-law, and really got a grandson, believe it or not, I wouldn't charge them a penny, just leave them intact, give them back the land. Why is this? 4th Master Chiao didn't understand. But then he realized it and said, "If this is spread, it will be more effective than live advertising. Our dream Siemens order may be too busy to fulfill. Your mind works so fast, I can't even keep up with you." The two of them smoked half a cigarette again. I saw Section Chief Tang coming out of the building and waving to the two of them. Wu Wei walked over and found that Section Chief Tang wanted to adjust the layout of the cabinets, so he took someone over to do some work. After more than 10 minutes, I was sweating from the work. All the furniture in Chief Tang's house is completely arranged. Section Chief Tang even settled the bill with Wu Wei on the spot directly on his modular sofa. After settling the bill, Section Chief Tang changed the subject and said, "I haven't seen you go to the meat factory these days." Wu Wei said without knowing what was going on, "Chief Tang, is there something wrong with the new factory?" Section Chief Tang waved his hand and said, "There are no problems at all with the new factory. The ham sausage production line has been successfully installed and is now in full swing." Having said this, Section Chief Tang said casually, "What I mean is that Director Wan didn't do it on purpose. He had his own considerations." It turned out that Wan Jun deliberately defaulted on the final payment. Originally, according to Wu Wei's rules, the first time something like this happened, he would never cooperate a second time. But now it seems that Wan Jun thinks that with Mr. Zhong on his back, he can be more flexible. After all, the meat factory is such a big oil and water unit. Once Wan Jun's transformation and upgrading is successful, it will be able to develop smoothly for more than 10 years. There must be many projects involved. So Wu Wei paused and expressed his position openly, "Chief Tang, I understand everything. Don't worry, I am very happy to cooperate with the meat factory. In the future, what use can Director Wan have of me? Place, welcome. It is better to dissolve enemies than to make enemies. Say it as nicely as possible. When the time comes, we will respond flexibly." When Section Chief Tang heard this, he decisively said, "I will convey this to you in full. Boss Wu, with your magnanimity and vision, Director Wan really did not misjudge you." The two sides laughed and said goodbye. After leaving the Tang family, Wu Wei pulled over Fourth Master Chiao and handed over the wages of the flatbed truck masters. When Fourth Master Chiao saw the 5 big unity notes in his arms, he said, "It's too much. We agreed to pay 2 yuan per trip." As he said that, he stuffed another one back. Then Fourth Master Chiao went out and paid the wages one by one. The masters happily took the money, turned the car around, and went back empty. After finishing all this, the father and son immediately rode on the 28 bar and returned to Daowen village. Not long after leaving the meat processing plant, they overtook the flatbed truck team on the way back. More than half an hour later, passing by the village office, Wu Wei also called his third sister Xiaochun and went to Fourth Master's house together. He settled the furniture bills for the 2 section chiefs' families face to face. After all this, Wu Wei still had 7,700 yuan left. The profit margin was more than 40%, but not even 50%. Then Wu Wei turned around and went to his master's house. Chen Yuejuan, the master's wife, was sitting by the water well killing fish. When she saw him coming, she tried to persuade him to stay, saying, "I'll just cook a fish. Stay for dinner later." Wu Wei saw that she was struggling, so he immediately put out the cigarette and put it behind his ear and said, "Master's wife, I'll do it. By the way, where is the third brother? He left early in the morning and may not be back until afternoon. If you want to find him, just wait at home." Okay. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 159. Not long after, Master Chiao Wei came out of the hall. As soon as he showed up, he said to his wife, "How could you let him do such a thing? It's nothing more than a big man's idea." Fortunately, Wu Wei had already disemboweled the fish and almost scraped off its scales. He took the opportunity to hand it back to his wife and said, "Just wash it," to prevent the old couple from quarreling again. Chen Yuejuan also took a spoonful of water and rinsed his hands. Wu Wei shook it dry, took the cigarette case and handed it to the master. Mr. Chiao raised his hand to indicate that he still had it, then turned and walked into the main room. As he walked, he asked, "Did the delivery of furniture go smoothly today?" Wu Wei said happily, "It went very smoothly." "Did you get all the money?" "Well, I just finished settling the settlement with fourth master." Wu Wei patted the bulging bags in his pocket and said, "The rest of the profits are here." Chiao Wei took a look and knew that there was a lot of profit. But he still couldn't help but said, "Making furniture is always slow, but the money comes in slowly. It's not like our construction project, which only lasts for 3 years if it doesn't open for 3 years." Fortunately, fourth master Chiao was not here, otherwise the brothers would have choked again. Then Master Chiao changed the subject and said, "By the way, I only collected half of the money from selling the fish yesterday. Should I take it back to you first, or give it to you when the money is settled?" Wu Wei waved his hand, "I'm not short of money here, let's wait for it to be settled." During lunch, the master and apprentice just sat down. As expected, Chiao Kuliang came back. "I really let Master Chen Yuejuan say it." So during the dinner, Wu Wei raised the issue with Chiao Kuliang that if the furniture was delivered to the site today, it would be better displayed. When Chiao Kuliang heard this, he understood, "Then I'll call Chen Ziping to take a look later." The photos we took at the village headquarters in the early days always looked a little interesting in the background. It seemed. Speaking of this, Chiao Kuliang couldn't think of suitable words. Wu Wei reminded, "Abrupt." "Yes, it's just abrupt." So after lunch, Chiao Kuliang wiped his lips and rode out again. Chen Yuejuan looked a little distressed. But fifth master Chiao was quite pleased and said, "Now that I am a man, I can still control him." At this point, fifth master changed the subject, "Look at Jasmine from third brother's house, can you arrange a job for her?" These words can be regarded as the result of careful consideration between the fifth master and his wife, who talked for many days and nights. After all, he has such a good son-in-law in his stall. You can't let your third sister-in-law be envious, jealous, and hateful all the time. Maybe helping Jasmine find a job like this can relieve her a little bit. Wu Wei did not dare to agree directly. Instead, he said frankly, "Master, this is not difficult for me. But Jiao Moli, if she knew it was me who arranged it, she wouldn't do it if I beat her to death." Mr. Chiao couldn't understand these words. "But I vaguely feel that it is very possible." So I pushed the question forward, "What good idea do you have?" Wu Wei continued, "Well, at the Zishan brick kiln factory, I originally asked the old party secretary to help me touch the hands. Master, please have a private chat with the old party secretary, and arrange for Jasmine to come there when the time comes. But don't say it was my idea. Just tell her that it was the old party secretary who did it himself." Mr. Chiao's eyes lit up, "This is a good idea." Then he realized, "It's just unfair to you." Wu Wei smiled and said, "Master, I didn't expect Jiao Moli to be grateful, mainly because of her sisterly relationship with Yuyan. You're such a cool kid." Return to the Bei'ai Road courtyard. Zishun had already entered into the tense rhythm of final exams and didn't even come back for dinner. Wu Wei stole half of his life. So I went next door and took down the photos one by one that the old lady had posted on the photo wall. Then he slowly put it back under the old lady's glare. Zishun has already taken the final exam. Ordinarily Chiao should be back. Thinking about it, I really can't wait. As a result, in the evening, Wu Wei came over to call Chiao, but was told that because of his part-time accounting job, he still could not come back immediately after the semester, and might have to postpone it until around the junior year. This is another 10 days late. Boss Wu Wei was not happy, but the old lady blatantly supported it. The old and the young are against Tiangang. The next day came Saturday afternoon. 11 Chunxin hurriedly rode the Kun chariot and brought back all the books in the school. Wu Wei is serving a 10-pound herring, preparing to cut it into fillets and make boiled fish fillets. Without looking back he asked, How did you go in the exam? Zishan unloaded his books, jumped over and clapped his hands and said, anyway, second brother, just prepare to buy me a TV. Good guy, quite confident. Then he was surprised by Wu Wei's handling of fish meat. Second brother, are you planning to make sashimi? Wu Wei was surprised, you actually know about sashimi? Zishan said, who has never eaten pork before and hasn't seen a pig running? Wu Wei smiled and said, it's not sashimi. What I make is much more delicious than sashimi. Then he pursed his lips and said, please help me choose some bean sprouts, wash some enoki mushrooms, cut some old tofu, and beat it into small cubes. Come on, second brother, you talk too much and I can't remember it. Who would have thought that a top student in studies would be a complete mess in housework? As the second brother, Wu Wei can't force too much. Anyway, it's better to have help than no help. When Zishan finished doing one thing after another, he looked back at the time on the clock in the main hall. Second brother, how much did you pay third sister? She's coming home later and later now. Wu Wei smiled. When paying wages, he did give third sister's group of female workers a little more. Otherwise, his profit could be close to 50%. Who would have thought that Xiao-chun took the money and paid it out? Several female workers under him worked day and night like chicken blood. No one could stop them. As he was talking, more than 10 pounds of fish fillets were put into the pot. When it was cooked to about 35%, it was taken out and put into a large pot with bean sprouts, enoki mushrooms, and tofu cubes. Then heat the oil in the pot, add pepper and chili, and stir-fry directly. The aroma attracted Zishan. When he saw so much oil in the pot, he couldn't help but ask, second brother, did you pour too much? Wu Wei shook his head, not much, I've already kept it back. By the way, wash and scald the thermos bucket. Wash it clean, otherwise your teacher Chiao will eat something unclean, and I won't speak for you. After a while, the hot oil was 70% hot and poured on the fish fillets. The whole pot was sizzling. Zishan was already stunned. Can dishes be cooked like this? They are all born and raised by the same parents. Where did the second brother learn these things? Wu Wei put the big pot on the 8 immortal table in the main hall. Don't stand there, hurry up and serve the rice while it's hot. As he said that, he took out a big bowl and a thermos bucket and filled them. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 160. Wu Wei first filled the bowl and asked Zishan to deliver it to the old lady next door. Then start filling the thermos bucket. When Zishan came back, Wu Wei put the food in the thermos bucket. He put it on the bag and walked out. You can eat it yourself. I'll send it to Yuyan first while it's hot. Zishan said, oh, a little disappointed. But I was soon attracted by the fragrant boiled fish. After leaving the Bei Road courtyard, Wu Wei rode the 28-meter pole and went straight to Bailun Middle School. These days, all traces of heavy snowfall in the county have disappeared. Only in the corners of the village, there are still unfinished snowdrifts. Arriving at the gate of Bailun Middle School, Wu Wei threw a cigarette to Uncle Fan and said, is it going to be a holiday soon? Uncle Fan showed his head, when the students come back and get their results, they can go home to celebrate the new year. Then he joked, when the time comes, you won't have to run here every day. Wu Wei laughed, dealt with it, and then drove straight in. According to Zishan's reminder, Chiao Yuyan should now be correcting test papers in the English teaching and research group. The scientific, educational, and research groups are not difficult to find. Because the entire teaching building is mostly in darkness, only the teaching and research group office has lights on. Wu Wei looked around and saw that the English teaching and research group in the third year of junior high school was busy grading test papers. At first, Chiao Yuyan was so absorbed that she didn't even notice his arrival. It wasn't until another teacher found out and called teacher Chiao that Chiao Yuyan found out and ran out happily. Why are you here? You must have worked hard after taking the exam for several days. I made a new dish to make up for it. Xiao Yuyan thought of the old duck pot last time and was naturally full of expectations for this time's thermal bucket. Then I'll go in and talk to the team leader first, and then we'll go back to the dormitory to eat. After a while, Xiao Yuyan left and returned. With a happy look on his face, he put his arm around Wu Wei and said, Zishan did well in the exam, and her grades are steadily improving. Wu Wei smiled and said, this girl, just now said that I will buy this TV this year. Buying a TV. So Wu Wei told Zishan about buying a TV. As a result, she was worthy of being a teacher. Xiao Yuyan immediately felt like she was facing a formidable enemy. If you really buy it, you must not let Zishan get addicted to it. Otherwise, it would be a pity if your great future will fall short. Wu Wei nodded, if I really buy it, I will get a TV cabinet to lock it up. Return to the teacher's dormitory downstairs. Xiao Yuyan looked up and found that the lights in the dormitory were on, and she couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. This meant that her best friend Ma Jiajia was also there, and she and Wu Wei had no space to be alone. After the two went upstairs, Ma Jiajia stood in front of the mirror and combed her hair. It looked like she had just washed and dried her hair. On her finger was a shiny gold ring she had just gotten last time. Just seeing Wu Wei arriving, Ma Jiajia always felt that the gold ring looked unnatural. Consciously or unconsciously, I want to hide my ring finger. However, Wu Wei took the initiative to greet him, Teacher Ma, I made some food for Yuyan, would you like to eat some too? The rice Wu Wei brought was enough for 2 people. There is no shortage of tableware and other items in their dormitory. No, Boss Wu, thank you, Ma Jiajia said politely, but her politeness was a bit harsh. I just want to go out, you guys eat slowly. As she spoke, Ma Jiajia put on her woolen coat, took off the bag hanging behind the door and said, by the way, Boss Wu, Chief Hao and I are getting married on the 19th of the 12th lunar month. You and Yuyan will come together then. Congratulations, Teacher Ma, no problem. After Wu Wei finished speaking, Xiao Yuyan also asked, Jiajia, please slow down on the road. Looking back, I started to clean up the table happily. Then open the thermos bucket and let the aroma of boiled fish fillets fill the whole room instantly. Wow, fish can be made like this. I've never eaten it before. Try it quickly. Eat it while it's hot. The texture will be much different when it's cold. Xiao Yuyan took a bite of Wu Wei first, then happily picked up the chopsticks, picked out a piece of fish fillet from the still warm rice in the lunch box, blew on it twice, and then carefully put it into her mouth. As soon as he released it, his beautiful eyes widened. Obviously, looking at the clear fish fillet, it doesn't look like it tastes good. When you put it in your mouth, you realize that it is not only rich in flavor, but also extremely layered. It's spicy, and leaves a fragrant taste in your mouth. Then I couldn't wait to pick up the second piece. Wu Wei couldn't help but remind him, some fish fillets still have fish bones, don't forget to spit out the bones. Xiao Yuyan nodded on the surface, but actually ate faster and faster. But the rice in his hands didn't move much. After eating, I discovered that there were equally delicious bean sprouts, enoki mushrooms, and old tofu under the fish fillets, which opened up a new world. After eating one meal, I took 2 bites of the rice in my hand. Half of the boiled fish fillets in the thermal bucket were dried. Even so, there is still a lot left. Xiao Yuyan touched her tight belly, looked at the remaining fish fillets, and said helplessly, what should I do? It's such a waste. Wu Wei smiled and said, it's okay, I'll take it home to eat. Then his eyes fell on Xiao Yuyan's spicy red lips, and she couldn't help but move her index finger. Xiao Yuyan was scratched all over by him, so she changed the subject and said, you should eat it now. Wu Wei pulled the person onto his lap and sat down, don't worry about that. I'll eat your honey first and then. An hour later, Xiao Yuyan said with a sense of loss, now that all the honey has been eaten by you, there is nothing worth cherishing in the future. As soon as the voice fell, Wu Wei came back again. She was frightened and pale on the spot. You. Wu Wei said seriously, if honey can be eaten once, it can be eaten a second time, a third time. After a long time, Xiao Yuyan finally realized that she was the honey. No one can eat it, it will only become sweeter and sweeter. Back to the small courtyard of Bei Road, it was almost 9 o'clock. Xiaochun had already returned, but her brain was still working, and she was busy reviewing the work during the day. Zishun was a little bored. While taking the newspapers collected at home to flip through them, she roasted sweet potatoes on the 3-burner coal stove. Nightlife without TV is so simple and unpretentious. Wu Wei heated up the boiled fish fillet that Xiao Yuyan had not finished eating on the stove and swallowed it all with rice. Then he ate another sweet potato, and then he felt more at ease. Turning back, he said to Zishun, go to Xinhua bookstore tomorrow and buy some books to read, so you don't have to look through old newspapers all the time. Upon hearing this, Zishun was immediately surprised. These days, being able to buy paper and pen is inexplicably exciting. Not to mention being able to have your own extracurricular books. Wu Wei directly took out 100 yuan from the house and said, but the premise is the same, it can't affect your studies. Zishun nodded his head like a chicken pecking at rice and said, yeah, did teacher Qiao remind you?